Hey everybody, working on guitar number 3 here. This is version 3. It's time for the final setup. I looked at it and thought about it, but offhand, unless I want to start getting into like dabbing up stuff, there's no easy way for me to block off this trem in order to lock it into a hardtail kind of a situation. So, I think we're going to do this the old-fashioned hard way. And no, I'm not going to make you watch me sit here for 4 hours with the Floyd while I, back and forth with the Floyd Rose. Basically, my plan is that I'm going to, as I bring stuff up to tuning tension string by string, I'm just going to keep tightening the screws and trying to keep it level. And hopefully I can get it dialed in pretty quickly that way. I'm going to use a combination of that, and when you tune it, what I like to do is I like to start the bottom end, because they tend to have more effect on how level things are and everything. But what I'll do is I'll tune everything, because you know how it is. I mean, it's like you go and you tune your Floyd Rose all the way across, but then everything's moved a little bit, and so then you come back and everything's flat. So what I like to do is I like to tune everything a little bit sharp. And I found that I can usually get away with, trying to get my screws close and tune everything a little bit sharp and do about 3 passes from bass to treble, and then and by that time I'm real close. I'm like, one more pass and it's fine tune and lock it down time. So I'm gonna do it the old school way, the no nifty tricks, not locking it to a temporary hardtail. So we'll see how it goes here. And I was also checking it out, since it used to have locking tuners on it, there's like nothing left of these string ends. So looks like it's time to break bad with a new set of Ernie Ball 8s for this thing. So yeah, because the new lightweight stuff is non-locking. There's such a difference. I should break bad with the scales and weigh out the difference between like a locking tuner and one of these modified lightweights. So, but anyway, yeah, let me do a pack of strings. Okay, I'll be back in a minute here. I've got to shoot a thumbnail for a previous video. Okay, guitar number 3, version 3. Dug up a set of Ernie Ball extra slinkies, 8s, and it's time to go for it here. Let me find the bridge. Okay, got the bridge. Version 2 had locking tuners, so there's like, where's the end of the strings? Into the strings. Yeah, there's nothing left at the end of the strings. We're going on with regular set of tuners. Yeah, see, there's really nothing left at the end of the strings, so they're not really going to work on some regular tuners like this. So the first set of strings, and I guess the first step is I got to dig up the Allens and take out all this lock box. Well, that was quick and easy. All out. And start putting the new ones in. Well, I might not be able to use the block to hardtail trick for tuning this thing up, but one trick that I can still use is you stick the string in from this end, and then you run it down, and then you stick it in here and lock it. And then all you got to do is up at this end. You trim it to length and trim the ball off, all in just one cut, instead of cutting the ball off, sticking the ball in on this end, and going up here, tuning it up, and then trimming off the excess, which means 2 cuts. I'm going to try stringing it from this end. Right, so there's the first one. Everything's looking good that way. Action's looking high though, so I'm probably going to have to loosen these up the neck shims in. I might just want to do that now. Okay, I loosened up the neck screws and popped those 2 brass shims back underneath the front end of the neck here. And as you can see, we're back down to get my fingers out of the shadow way. Yeah, action-wise, we're back down to almost 0, so a little bit of adjustment here on the screws. Plus, once you get everything in there, and this is probably going to do one of these bend things, and yeah, come back up to its under tension curve, the way all these bodies, at least the plywood ones do. Once you get this thing under tension, it's going to be about 75, 76, 77, 78 pounds, somewhere right around there for a set of these guys. And this section of the guitar, like from here to here, will actually bow up just ever so slightly. And so we're pretty much, you know, we got a little bit of action. We might have half a mil right here, but by the time we get all 6 on and we've got it all balanced out with the strings, and man, real cool. Excuse me, I gotta get a kitten out of here. That's the second time we knocked this thing off. Sure as shit, he broke it. He broke it. Lower leg bar broken in half, shattered. Fucking A, man. Okay, so I'm gonna take this out, and time for some CA glue and a clamp. Hopefully I can rescue this. Okay, bar's off. Let's see what we're looking at here. It's a crack. We'll spread it a little bit, flood it with CA, clamp it down. Should be okay. Nothing to get, you know, totally spazzed out. Okay, flooded it with some CA and slapped this clamp on it. It's been a few minutes. I noticed that one of the blocks fell out on the guitar pedal, and so I put it back in, went to tighten it all down, and it was stiff, so I sprayed some of this stuff onto a Q-tip, and then dabbed the Q-tip onto this stuff, get it going good again, tighten all these guys down, so nothing's going to fall out until I get the strings in and locked in. And I think this clamp's probably been on long enough now that I can take it off and put it back in. Now, it's going to need even more. I got one side, but that didn't get the other side. Still got it's glued over here, but it's still open over here, so I might have to, like, I don't know, do something about this bottle and this cap. So. Looks like I found this thing on the floor. It popped off, so I glued it back into place. And down at this end, this should be dry. Let me screw the bar back on. Well, took a little bit more toothpick shim stuff in this hole for the thumb screw up here, but got it all tight again. So yeah, recovered from that little disaster. Now, way back when, I just got the neck shims in, and we're now in a good adjustment range for the action. Get the bridge up on this side here. Come here, Mr. Bridge. There we go, Pop. There we go. Okay. Yeah, buddy. Floyd Rose. Gotta love it. Okay, so, yeah. Time for the next string. Okay, making progress, slowly but surely. Got half the strings on now. And, it's still pretty level. They're not quite up to full tuning tension yet, but we're getting there. And one mod I forgot to mention, if you look right here, when this got the single swing bar, that meant that the strap buttons were going to be moving around a bit. And there was really no good place to put the strap button here that it wouldn't interfere with that. And so this little bit of wood was added to the edge of the body in order to make it a little wider and move this button further away from the bridge. And that's a small modification to the body that, you know, kind of similar to this bar being added over here that I forgot to mention before. So, but anyway, yeah, time to get the number 3 string on. Okay, I figured this is probably a good time to slap some mineral oil on the fretboard. So I did that, and I went ahead and got the number 3 string on. And yeah, number 2 string's next. Okay, got all 6 strings on. They are close to the correct tension, and the bridge is just about level, and the action is perhaps slightly high. And so now it's time to dial it all in, get it to correct tuning tension, and adjust the trim springs down here, screws, so that this is perfectly level, and get this action down to maybe 1.4 mil or so, all at the same time. So yeah, I'll be back in a little bit. And there it is. That wasn't too bad. It only took me maybe about 10-15 minutes. I was lucky, I guess, real close to correct on how far in these screws needed to be. They ended up only being about 5 turns loose of correct. So what I did is I tuned it up, saw that the springs were not strong enough, or the screws were not tight enough. Because as I would bring like number 1 up to pitch, I'd come back and number 6 would be flat because everything had moved because the screws weren't in tight enough. So so then I'd go and tighten the screws, and then I'd retune. And I did that like 2 times. And each time I was tightening them a couple turns. and I'd retune again. And then I might have done that 3 times, and I got it to the point where I tuned it up, and it wasn't tight enough, so I tightened them. I tuned it again, it still wasn't tight enough, so I tightened them. I tuned it a 3rd time, and it wasn't tight enough, so I tightened them. And then it was too tight. It came up to pitch and it went past pitch, and nothing went flat. You know, when you start at this end and you're tuning, going this way, and you go here, and then you come back here again, and everything's going flat on you from this pulling up because the screws aren't in far enough. So yeah, 3 rounds, and basically I had the screws in a little bit too far, so then I just backed them off a little bit and retuned, and it was pretty darn close. And so then I was like, okay, one more turn out, backed them off just a smidge more, and now they're pretty much the correct position. The guitar, I just did a pass, and all 6 are in tune, except for string stretch. I haven't stretched the strings. And got the action set. I was actually able to bring the screws down some, which makes everything more stable. And the bridge is pretty level. And the action's looking pretty good. And the left to right alignment and everything. How far the strings are from the edge. So yeah, good to go. At this point you could maybe stretch the strings, tune it up again a final time, and put the locks on it and trim the excess strings off. So I think that this is pretty much ready to go. Suppose I should try a little sound sample here. All right, let me do something like that. Well, I didn't stretch the strings. I just got it dialed in on the tuning. Let me make a little noise for you. I'm just using that thing, so it might sound a little tinny, but here we go. it works. Okay, so I think we can color this one done, and that's going to do it for this build. And I guess I'll shoot a video on, just a standalone video of this guitar and the list of features, like I post a overview video of most every build I do. So but yeah, that's gonna probably do it for this guitar. And the parts for the curved triangle version 2 are dry by now. I checked them a little earlier. It's been another 12 hours. It's actually been 16 hours now since they got the second coat of linseed oil. So I guess going back to that one's going to be the next build. And I'm supposed to be fixing my pickup truck today, but the weather is looking kind of threatening. I'm not sure whether it's going to sock in or burn off as far as the cloud cover goes. Last time it decided to sock in, and then we got one of the most intense rains we had here in years, maybe in the last decade. So I'm in the process of rebuilding a race engine out in the woods. and right now I need to chase some head stud threads in the block with tap and die. And I don't want to get, out there and all set up and everything uncovered and then have the skies open up on me. So I might end up building more guitars today. You never can tell, but while I wait for the rain. But as far as this one goes, I think this build is done. And so, yeah, this is more or less going to be a if I were going to start a company that made minimalist stick-type guitars, this would be the Model FR stick. Basically, this is what an FR stick would, a Floyd Rose version of the stick would look like. It would have the minimalist headstock with lightweight tuners. You still got the lock nut and such for tuning stability, so no non-locking tuners is not a big deal. Have the trapezoid neck and the triangular heel, and probably go with 2 Allen head machine screws for the neck screws. And yeah, minimalist body, depth pick guard, single hot humbucker, probably a hot quad rail at the bridge. That'd be an upgrade you could do to this. Then your Floyd Rose, and then yeah, this basically right now it's just blast switch to the jack, and you got a kill button and an on-off switch. You could throw in, an onboard EQ. You could throw in a volume if you wanted, or tone, stuff like that. Second pickup, third pickup. Have 3 quad rails. I was thinking of doing a build with 3 quad rails with coil tapping and everything, and yeah, you can go crazy with the pickup and control combinations. But in the end, I mean, it's like all you really need is this kind of a thing, and this gets it all done. This kind of a thing here. If I can get it up here. Ugh. Need another bench, bigger bench, something to hold 2 guitars side by side at the same time. Get up there, you. Alright, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so all you really need is something like this. You got a hot passive quad rail here. This thing clocks in at like almost 18K and 8 Henrys. It's insane. And it can be coil split. It's not wired for it on this particular build, but it can be coil split. And then you've got like the ultimate in active electronics tone control sitting right here. So, and all you got to do is just, let's see, where'd my switch go? The switch is back here. Come here, Mr. Switch. There you are. Switch on. And there's lots of switches. There's a switch on this too. There we go. Yeah, now you can see the little light. There it is. Yeah, so active electronics. Come here, switch. Yeah, I suppose it's kind of redundant because the thing's got both a... Oh, wait a second. I think I'm doing a switch I don't have to do here. There's the switch. No, what am I doing wrong here? Don't mind me, I'm just confused. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And then over here. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is the power switch for the battery. This is the on-off switch for the pickup. Anyway, yeah, so, I mean, if you have just this, not coil split, and you've got an onboard EQ, you can create a coil split sound just by, giving a little bit more treble and a little less bass kind of a thing. So, this really, I mean, with this and this, you can reproduce the tone of, you can, by and large, not precisely, but you can make a very good approximation. Good enough that you can fool an audience, playing a gig kind of a thing at your local, band type bar, live music bar kind of scene. All you need is just this and this, and you can pretty much reproduce any tone from any type of electric guitar with any type of pickup. Everything from an ES355 to a Tele Bridge to a Les Paul neck sound, anything like that. Because they're at one end you've got like a Tele Bridge, and at the other end you've got like a Les Paul humbucker neck, and everything else is more or less in between. And if you go for a lipstick, then all you got to do is just kick the heck out of the upper mids and make it super spanky quacky, and yeah, that's about the only. Out of all the different kinds of pickups there are, it is probably the most unique sounding because it has so much responsiveness in that particular frequency range. So I think we're going to do a video on frequency response curves and EQs and pickups and speakers and amps, and because each of these devices has their own frequency response curve, and these things stack up and superimpose on each other. You take what the pickup's putting out, and then you send it through an EQ, and then you send it through an amp, and the amp has its own frequency response curve and its own Q values and such for for how flat that curve is. And all of these various and sundry curves add up to the final sound that you get out of your speaker. And even the speaker itself has its own frequency response curves. You know, just because you're sending a signal in the wire down this end doesn't mean this cone here can reproduce that signal, or can reproduce, you know, the bottom end of that signal as loud as it can reproduce the mid-range of that signal, or the treble, or whatever. Yeah, so. But I think I've probably rambled enough here. Yeah, so for this thing, this is basically the Floyd Rose model of the minimalist. And I think that the design is more or less evolved as far as it can evolve. The only thing I'm thinking and noticing is that with the single swing bars, I don't know if it's really an issue or not, but it is something I was just beginning to notice with a single swing bar versus the twin V bar. Now with the single swing bar, okay, I'm like this, and this whole thing would lay back on my belly, almost, you know, it's almost laying down in my lap. Whereas with the V bar would act kind of like the body on a regular guitar up here and hold the thing a little bit more vertical this way. Now here, the guitar is so light that I don't really think it's an issue. It's not like I have to hold the thing up, just my hand being there, because see, it balances pretty good too. So I don't think the fact that there's no bar or body on the guitar that supports the guitar from going this way. Yeah, it's probably not going to be an issue. I need to just sit down and play some. That's what I really need to do, is just sit down and play some. Just spend a couple days playing. Just take a day and grab one of these things and just play it. And get you heard how I butchered that sound demo, so yeah, my apologies for that. I did it one time before I turned on the phone to record it, and the first time, of course, when I wasn't recording, it sounded great, and then I go for a take and I butchered it, but I'm not, I'm just making noise. I'm not going to waste time on takes for that. Not unless I get real gear for recording and such, or actually stop building guitars and practice. So, and yeah, see there, it's like, I wasn't even using a pick or anything, so yeah, the only thing I was thinking was that, but yeah, I don't think it's even an issue. The fact that it doesn't really have anything to keep it from going back in this direction, because it's so light. It's so light. These really are nice. But yeah, I should probably just spend some quality time thrashing them and see how it goes. I do play each and every one that I build. And, anywhere from this one I've actually built 3 or 4 times now already, so it's been played to death many times. But yeah, each build I'll play at least for 15 or 30 minutes, and sometimes, depending on my mood, I'll play for a few hours. I'll look up and it'll be a couple hours later and I'll be like, wow. But anyway, yeah, so this thing I suppose could use a quad rail. As I recall, it just got the hottest humbucker that was sitting around at the time. And other than that, you'd put a EQ on it. Or you could always, get an EMG 1X for it, if you wanted to go that kind of a route. And maybe a volume, something like that. At that point, it's really, up to the individual what you want to go for. Everybody has their own personal preference when it comes to pickup and control combinations and such. So that's one of the things that I'm finding a bit challenging, is that, you know, I'm going to continue building guitars, and let's say I decide to build another Floyd Rose minimalist thing, and then I need to sell it off in order to clear space for the next build. You know, even if I'm selling it at cost, kind of a thing, or even a slight loss, just to, you know, get it out of the way and recoup some more money for my hobby. But the problem is that everybody and their brother has different tastes when it comes to which pickups they like and what controls they like, and so, you know, I'm not necessarily sure that I'm not sure that if I were going to sell off some, that whether they would, what pickups and controls they should have on them, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But, so, I guess what I'll continue to do is I'll just kind of continue to do what I'm doing, and, you know, if the winning bid for one of these guitars I'm trying to clear out of here ends up being $1 on eBay, it's $1 on eBay, and that's life. It beats throwing it in the trash pile, so. But anyway, yeah, I think this one's done, and I'm going to do the curve try next, and then I've got a few little things to do on the oval back there. I found new inlay stickers for it, so that'll be cool. I'll get my little oak leaves back, and I've got like some more brass hardware and such for the nut and the bridge and the pins and things like that. And I think it's slated for lightweight tuners as well. And then I'm going to do the twin carbon fiber tube neck. This stuff here. Yeah, I found the other neck. Where did I put it? Yeah, oh, I'm constantly misplacing that thing. But yeah, there's the neck from the single carbon fiber tube neck is around here somewhere. It's already been sanded down and given a coat of poly to make it nice and shiny again. Sanded off all the CA glue from when it had the fretboard glued on it. So yeah, that's coming up soon, and assuming that works, then I don't know. Yeah, I suppose that to be thorough, I should go back and refit all of these guitars with twin carbon fiber necks, but maybe I'll just do carbon fiber necks going forward. So, but enough of me rambling. Until the next one, everybody, have a good one.